tough. Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 79 of the Splashcast, the ATL edition and the Around the League edition. We're combining it all today. We are going to talk about HBCU news around the culture, Falcons, Hawks, Braves, splashes of the week, NFL, NCAA. We told y'all that team up there in the mountains ain't good, and the hills ain't good. Got a whole bunch to talk about today. I am your co-host, Reggie.
Welcome to episode 78. It's Norwood. And
79.
always remember, follow, like, subscribe, tell somebody. And once again, thank y'all for listening. Let's start with HBCUs, my friend.
HBCU. A lot of disappointment this year. So, just like last year, FAMU started off in the SWAC against Jackson State, got blown out. Then they also had a Division I game where they played a Division I team, an FBS team, and got beat. And then they proceeded to run the table and go like 9-0 to finish the season, and were actually ranked nationally FCS wise. But unlike last year, because Jackson State is 11-0 and they are going to the Celebration Bowl. Well, they're going to the SWAC championship, and then if they win the SWAC championship, they go to Celebration Bowl. FAMU can't go to the SWAC championship, so therefore they were trying to get an at-large bid into the Division II playoffs or FCS playoffs. They were not picked. As a matter of fact, no HBCUs were picked, including North Carolina A&T that finished runner-up in the Big South and also finished, I think, 8-3, 9-2.
Neither was North Carolina Central. I am extremely disappointed.
Well, Central's going to the Celebration Bowl.
I'm also very upset with the fact, FAMU played, they went undefeated. The two teams they lost to, Jackson State and North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
A 9-2 North Carolina, a 9-1, 9-2, whatever.
And they played North Carolina tough until about the fourth quarter. It was a close game.
Absolutely. So you can't really ask for much more. They put Jackson State on the schedule, beat them.
No, they're in the same.
They
division.
put on the schedule, beat them, and you play UNC. What more are you asking for from a team in order to qualify other than what they've done?
It sucks, man. It's tough that also that's how your season ends. You're basically waiting. It's kind of like NCAA basketball when you're on the bubble trying to make the at-large bid. But I honestly feel that their resume is a lot better than most of the FCS schools that actually made it, especially the at-large people.
I concur 100%.
It's interesting,
and it sets
we'll leave this here.
But Brad precedent.
Yeah, it's interesting though because of the comments that Dion made, and I wonder if that went into it. So Dion said, basically, we don't like going to the playoffs. We don't want to go to the playoffs because they don't pay for you to go. You got to use your own dime to go everywhere. You got to, like, the Celebration Bowl, they pay for them to come. They're very accommodating, which I thought, and I know it's bad to say, but I thought that would have been backwards. I thought that the playoffs would pay for everybody to come and pay for your travel and all of that stuff, and then if anywhere that you're going to feel slighted would be the Celebration Bowl. But that's not the case. Or stereotypically, that's how normally it would have gone. But that's not the case. I'm surprised that happened.
Yes. And Dion is one person. It's a conference. And there's a conference before him. So if we're good enough, we're good enough. Don't let Dion be the deciding factor for whether or not you give them an opportunity. Especially if it's not Dion's team. I could have disagreed with Dion completely.
Whoa. You said you what?
I could have 100% disagreed with Dion, and just because he said it doesn't mean I agree. Yeah, don't remove our chance to play in the playoffs because of
yeah. Don't associate me with Dion. But I'm just saying, what if that was part of it? What if that went into the decision? You could never prove that.
Trash.
You could never prove that.
Yeah, that's trash. That's surely trash. Also, while we're here, I do want to shout out the Benedict Tigers. They have gone 11-0,
Ladies and gentlemen,
and
we
yep, we
follow
missed the boat on it.
HBCU. We dropped the ball, especially for how much we champion Benedict. I can't believe that in the SIAC they are undefeated, and there's really been no news about it that we've seen. Now, the SIAC is a smaller conference, but they are going to the playoffs.
Yeah, and they've only been really, one of these games been competitive against Albany State. Outside of that, they have ran through the competition. It hasn't even been close.
Yeah, no. Yeah, they destroyed it. And they destroyed people. That is Southern's former defensive coordinator who is now taking that over that school, and he is probably going to be one of the hottest coaches in the SWAC.
I would say so the way he whooped ass. It wasn't close.
Yep. But there's also another team, of course, that went 11-0. Prime and the Jackson State Tigers had their first ever undefeated regular season, covered by ESPN. They are going to the Celebration Bowl instead of going to the playoffs. Well, they're going to the SWAC championship instead of going to the playoffs. They got to win though. So congrats to Dion, man. I see that if he stays, man, they could have a mean run, mean dynasty.
And this is the very first 11-0 season in Jackson State's history. To come in and do this in a very, very short amount of time is extremely impressive. You kind of go ahead and put yourself in the category of one of the best coaches at one of the best programs ever, kind of fast. You go undefeated. It's not a whole lot that people can say other than, yep, he came in and did what was expected of him. And shout out to 11-0 season.
11-0, man. Sneaky just said he thinks Jackson State is selling themselves short if they don't make a run I think he meant FCS championship at some point with Coach Prime. Mm-hmm. The thing about it is Dion is juggling trying to grow the program too. So if one thing that we've known that Dion is about since his drafting with the Falcons, it's been the same thing for the last 20, 30 years, 40 years, 30 years. It must be the money. When it comes to the money, if we are trying to make Jackson State money, not spend it. And he said if they were to give us some money to go and pay for us to go, we would go play. But they don't, and honestly, they don't want to. They don't want to.
No. And I think that he probably has an accurate understanding of how good his team is right now. And at this very moment, we might need another year. I think that he might say that now, but I think in the years to come, he may believe, Jesus, DeJounte. I think that in the future he'll be more. If he can get a couple more linemen before he goes, I think he'll be prepared to go to the playoffs and possibly and probably do a good job of competing, if not win.
Yeah. And also, Sneaky, to answer your question, he said that's weird that a conference championship conflicts with the national playoff schedule. So that was the big thing about it when they created the SWAC championship and all of that. But it was because they weren't ever giving us a chance to be to actually make the playoffs. Even when we would go 9-1, 9-2, 11-1, they would never pick us. And they would pick other teams even though they were SWAC champion. And they was like, well, all right, if that's what y'all going to do, we just going to play our own ball. And we don't play our own thing. And that's why they got the Celebration Bowl. So Dion has addressed that too. And other HBCU coaches have addressed that too. We might need to reschedule some of this stuff. But also the Bayou Classic takes place the week after the Saturday after Thanksgiving. Kind of like Ohio State, Michigan and all that. It's like the HBCU it's the HBCU it's basically HBCU Ohio State Michigan. So when you play that game, you can't play in the playoffs because that game happens during the first round of the playoffs in the FCS. So you'd have to move that game, and there's a lot of stuff that I know that they don't want to. There's too much money for them to change that game, and FCS is not going to accommodate their schedule to include HBCUs. So it is what it is, unfortunately.
I think that eventually how we always joke about like the HBCU homecoming tour. They're going to have to fix the timing of this. If you want to be able to compete, you're going to have to change some things. But it doesn't help when they don't pick any HBCUs to the playoffs.
Yeah, it proves our point. It proves our point. Like we 9-2.
Exactly right.
We played these teams better than y'all played them. And you only and they really just want Jackson State. But Deion like, nah, if you only ain't gonna take some of us, don't nuh-uh. And that's what I do like about Deion. He like, nah, you gonna give us all a chance or we not playing at all. So, he is swag, gotta say it.
And you're right. They're proving them right. And people proving people.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, for those that follow Black SEC football, the SWAC West is wide open, kind of like the SEC West. We did not see LSU ended up playing in the championship game. But so Prairie View A&M was 1, Texas Southern was 2, and Southern University was 3. Southern University beat Prairie View. Prairie View beat Texas Southern. Texas Southern beat Southern University. So with all that happening, Prairie View just needed to win one of their last 2 games, and they would have stamped themselves going to the SWAC West Championship game. And they played a Mississippi Valley State team that got their first win this year 2 weeks ago against Alabama A&M, but then got blown out by Southern last week. And they just went into Houston and absolutely drubbed. Come on, John. Yeah. Absolutely drubbed Prairie View A&M. 27-7, and the game wasn't even that close.
And just nobody expected this. Not a soul. We came right in here and said, "Oh, this will never happen."
I hope. I said, I'm picking Mississippi Valley State because I need them to win. That's why I picked it. Let's go Southern get go. I need them to win. And I also needed Texas Southern to lose. And Alabama A&M, I didn't want them to lose because of Andrew Body, their quarterback and star player getting hurt. But he got hurt in the fourth quarter. But Alabama A&M went into Houston and beat Texas Southern. So now Southern University.
I think that one.
Yeah, no, I didn't because I said Texas Southern defense too strong. Southern University's, if Southern University beats Grambling in the Bayou Classic, Southern University will go to the SWAC championship game against Jackson State, where they will try to avenge a 35-0 loss. And no matter what you say, it is really, really difficult to beat a team twice.
I concur 100%. Do you think that y'all beat them if you play them again?
I mean, you got to go back to Mississippi, back to Jackson State to play them at Jackson State. Hopefully the weather will be drier. It'll be colder, but it'll be drier. That's tall test. That's tough test, man. Jackson State is mean. But Southern ended up winning. FAMU won 41-20. Bethune-Cookman, I think they're a year away from being competitive. But they did play well for the first half. Jackson State then clinched and beat Alcorn. Southern University did win last week, and they finally made a quarterback change. They took the quarterback out and put in a third string, and all of a sudden the offense just looks totally different. They throwing the ball down the field now, everything. Or what?
That foul on John Collins is not a foul. He clearly put the ball right on his hand.
Okay.
My apologies. But yeah, FAMU once again does what we expected them to do. They put together a really, really good season.
Yeah, everything about Southern. Jackson State beat Alcorn State. What else we got?
I was also going to say, just from starting like they did, that's a lot of coaching because a lot of teams would have folded early in the season. Just got out of there.
Yep. So, didn't see this happen.
Man.
Norfolk State beat South Carolina State. May have been one of the most underachieving teams of this year in black college football. Norfolk State beat South Carolina State on a goal line stand. Otto Coons ran for 242 yards, 5 touchdowns, rushing in for his 6th total touchdown, the game winner. DeQuan Felton had 163 yards and 3 TDs for South Carolina State. And Norfolk State defeats South Carolina State in Orangeburg. That was a shocker. Coach Odom's got
I
something
looked
down
at my phone and said, "What in the hell?" I just knew Norfolk State was going to get blown out.
Yeah.
I saw that post and
I didn't know that they were going to win. But I don't know what's happening because this whole MEAC thing is wild crazy. I think Howard has finished as the co-MEAC champion this year, along with North Carolina Central. But Central, I think, owns the tiebreaker or something like that. So that's why they get to go to the Celebration Bowl. This has been a competitive 6-team league. They called that clear path. This has been a competitive 6-team league. So shout out to Norfolk State and Coach Odom's doing their thing. Let's get off football for a second. I think this will be the last thing. North Carolina A&T was fined $2 million by the North Carolina school system. University system is what it's called, for being a thriving HBCU. Basically, apparently, North Carolina A&T is being fined $2 million by UNC system for exceeding their out-of-state cap enrollment numbers. So basically, you allowed for too many. You had too many out-of-state. Too many out-of-state students. So therefore, we're gonna fine you $2 million. Mind you, North Carolina State has been underfunded by $2 billion since its inception, and it's counting. This is insane.
Yeah, to be expected, but this is so egregious. There's no way I was going to see this and not say anything about it. But stop this and pay these people what you owe them. Do both of them, please, Lord.
I don't know what they're gonna do here, but they got to figure it out. UNC system.
We know they're not gonna do anything.
I think A&T they have to fight it. They have to fight. I don't know how you fight it, but you got to fight it. It says officials demand. We're not gonna read all of that, but basically officials say demand for out-of-state students to attend UNC school systems was unprecedented this year. 4 institutions: A&T 41%, State 19%, UNC Wilmington and Western Carolina exceeded their respective caps of out-of-state enrollment. The Board of Governors voted today to fine A&T nearly $2 million for exceeding its 35%. The board also increased out-of-state enrollment limits 25% for Fayetteville, 35% for A&T and Central, and 50% for Elizabeth City State.
Yes, and the fact that they voted to do this today, this is egregious. I mean, it's so frustrating. But you have to deal with this type of foolishness all of the time. And people are still fighting against you at this very moment. All you're trying to do is give people education.
How do you get punished for doing well? That is insane to me. Punished for doing well and while underfunding the school. We are exceeding expectations. We are overperforming with underfunding, and you're still trying man, listen. That shit make you might want to transfer your school. Nah, you know what? We're gonna go to South Carolina.
And you wonder why we have HBCUs.
Yeah, this is why you need Now, this is also why you need representation. That was a foul. This is why you need representation as well.
Money to historically black colleges and universities, because you have the UNC system doing things like this.
Yep. Wild crazy. But, ladies and gentlemen, we come to the end of the HBCU segment of the Around the League edition of episode 79 of the Splashcast Monday Night Raw. We'll be right back. We're going to go into our NFL football segment, where we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff, as well as our NCAA football segment, where we told y'all about them folks in Knoxville. Y'all stay tuned.
Hey,
we'll be right back.
Won again.
Falcons won again. We'll be right back.